Oma first met Kofi on one of the most ordinary days of her life, yet she would later realize it was the beginning of a story that would change her forever. He was a young man with nothing but dreams in his eyes and determination in his voice. His pockets were empty, his shoes worn, and his future uncertain, but Oma saw something in him that the world overlooked: potential. While others mocked him for his struggles, Oma chose to stand by him. She believed in the man he could become. She shared her food when he couldn't afford his next meal, stayed up long nights encouraging him when he felt like giving up, and even borrowed money just to make sure he could keep working on his small projects. She wore old dresses so he could look presentable at meetings, and sometimes went hungry just so he could eat. Kofi would often hold her hands, looking into her eyes with tears of gratitude, and say, "Oma, one day I'll make it. And when I do, I'll never forget you." Those words were her strength. Years passed, and through countless setbacks, disappointments, and near failures, Kofi finally began to rise. His ideas caught attention, opportunities opened, and wealth began to flow into his life. The man who once had nothing was now respected and celebrated. People who once laughed at him now bowed in admiration. But with success came change. At first, Oma thought it was just the pressure of his new responsibilities, but slowly, she began to notice the cracks. Kofi no longer answered her calls with excitement. Sometimes he didn't answer at all. Their evening walks turned into lonely nights for Oma, waiting by a phone that rarely rang. He became surrounded by new friends, people who loved his money more than his heart. The promises he once made with trembling lips were now forgotten in the noise of luxury and applause. When Oma tried to remind him of where they came from, he brushed her off, saying, "Oma, you worry too much, things are different now." Different, indeed. The man who once clung to her support now acted as if she was an embarrassment. He stopped inviting her to gatherings, ashamed of the simplicity of her clothes compared to the glamour of his new world. His love grew cold, his presence distant. Oma's heart broke in silence. She had given so much of herself to see him rise, only to be discarded like a shadow of his past. But she was not a woman without dignity. One morning, after another night of waiting for a call that never came, she stood before the mirror and whispered to her reflection, "I am worth more than this. My love is not a charity to be forgotten. I will not beg for a place in his life." With quiet strength, Oma walked away. She left behind the man she had built, the dreams they once shared, and the memories that still lingered in her heart. It was the hardest decision she had ever made, but also the most liberating. Kofi would later discover the emptiness of his wealth. Surrounded by people who clapped at his success but disappeared at his lowest moments, he began to realize the void Oma's absence left behind. No luxury could fill it, no applause could heal it. The woman who loved him at his lowest was gone, and no amount of riches could buy back her loyalty. Moral lessons. Never forget the people who stood by you during your hardest times. True love is tested in struggle, not in success. Ingratitude destroys blessings. Know your worth. Never beg for love that fails to see your value.